The more offers I have, the more money I'm going to make. And I would argue repeat what was good. Repeat what was good until it is either not good or until you solved a problem that will create a larger problem for your clients.
Well, hello, and welcome back to the Amanda Kaufman Show. We are continuing our series on the coaches that don't suck. And I'm joined today by Eugene Berezin. And we met, I think we were in maybe a similar coaching program for a period, but we mostly really got to know each other because we're both pretty good at following people we like on multiple different platforms. So I think we started on Instagram and then we were over on the LinkedIn and now we're Facebook friends. And it's just like our friendship has evolved like that. So, Eugene, welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here.
My gosh, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you for the invite, truly.
Yeah, of course. And I always when I invite people onto this show, I always ask them for their background. And I loved Eugene's because, I can always appreciate kind of an eclectic, dare I say a little bit nerdy of a background. So check this out. He's an expert in messaging and positioning, high ticket sales. He is a clinical psychologist and software engineer. So this is a person who really enjoys education. And I noticed that too as we got to know each other on the different platforms, we're commenting back and forth and you have a real eye for a lot of different frameworks and recognizing patterns and things. It's pretty cool. So Eugene, why don't you take 30 seconds and introduce yourself? Like what should we know about you?
Hey, so what should we know about me? So, my unique ability, like you said, is I think you nailed it, like messaging, high ticket coaching, sales, blah, 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 marketing, marketing, marketing. What
Marketing,
I'm
marketing,
really
marketing.
good
And yeah,
at.
here we are.
So what I'm really good at building people up. Like basically like, hey, like this is your unique ability. This is how we're gonna position it. This is how we're gonna sell it. This is how we're gonna close sales. This is your unique way of closing sales. And let me review your process. And this is how you don't suck at it. Go ahead and implement it. And if people implement it, like great. And fun fact, I actually started coaching when I was in college. I a friend and he had his business and he said, "Oh my gosh, you're a psychologist and I don't get along with my team. I'm a startup, like I'm a new business owner, like I have a small team, like we are not efficient. Can you just like go into psychoanalysis?" Like he called it psychoanalysis, and that was my first paid coaching session. And
Awesome.
my therapist was like, everything was great except for you boosted your experience more than you should. So, like, you don't have to lie about your skills and abilities because people see that. So, that's more, a little bit more than 30 seconds about me, but this is me.
This is you. I love it. I love it. And so I'm curious, you have so many talents, you've studied so many different fields. Like what is it that's caught your eye about high ticket and coaching and bringing a person's expertise out in a really valuable way? Like what is it about that focus that has you hooked? Like why do that?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing is really closing the wealth gap because there's so many talented people who are really, really good at what they do. And like fun fact, I didn't just like woke up and chose violence and high ticket. Like my first offer was career coaching because I was like, okay, a lot of software engineers like they undersell themselves. And then a lot of software engineers like came to me like, well, like how do I make it a business? So really that because if we want to build independence, if we want to build wealth, if we want to build life by design, a lot of the time it is easier to build it as an entrepreneur, even though entrepreneurship has hands and it's not easy and it's hard. And sometimes you think like, well, like, is it like maybe I should just go to corporate and like just be happy, but will you be happy? Like, when economy swings back and there's a sense of opportunity, will you be like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I'm back in corporate when the economy expanded and people already buy right now. So that's why.
Yeah, I love that, and I have experience on both sides of the corporate entrepreneurial fence. And I was actually just out for dinner in a movie. It was Wicked. I went and watched Wicked, you guys. But I went out with my mom and I was saying, man, like whatever financial dip or whatever entrepreneurial challenge, that I face, I would face it still 10, maybe even 100-fold to keep the time freedom that I have, the creative freedom that I have, the expression freedom that I have. Like I think when I very first started my career, and looking back, I'm like, that was actually pretty smart. When I first started my career, I was all about like, let's get security, let's have some stability. But then I went into corporate consulting, which is a pretty intense career path. But I'm so glad that I did, because I built some basic core skills around influence and time management, project management, understanding what people value, what people don't value, those kinds of things before I went into entrepreneurship. And I really appreciate that I have that background, but it is, to your point, very, very challenging. So, a lot of our listeners are, building a business, or they've been, a lot of my audience, they have been very successful in one field and now they're pivoting into, entrepreneurship or into a new field. What would you say are the top things that they should be keeping in mind to maximize their chances of success?
Yeah, like such a great question. I think number one is really identify your why, because making a lot of money, it is not your why. And if making a lot of money, it is your why, go get a job. You will be better at making money, like at a corporate job, at the very senior, like C-suite level. Like it's really not that bad. But if your why is a lot bigger, like your time freedom, or you want to create individual impact, what is your true why do you want to make a lot of money? So this is the first thing. And the second thing is to really identify your niche that is marketable market fit, or profitable rather market fit. So when you
Okay,
have
we're going to
to,
unpack that because that's
yes.
definitely a big area. So, when you're looking at, you're working with somebody or you're evaluating, I'm actually going to be doing an audit for somebody pretty soon of their messaging. What do you look for? I'll share what I look for, but I want to know what you look for when somebody is saying like, "Hey, I want to be an XYZ coach, or I want to build this business." When you're looking for profitable market fit, like what are the tells? How do you know?
I think the first thing is really like for me to really understand if that person will be successful in what I teach, is what kind of business model they want to run. Do they want to run high volume, like courses, things like that, or small, lower ticket, like maybe memberships, things like that, or they want to run more premium offer, right? Like this is like this the business model. And after that, I would really start with the problem. What is the problem that you confidently, like if I wake you up in the middle of the night without ChatGPT, without Google, you'll just, this is it. Like for me, like it's like really building people up. Like I don't need ChatGPT, I don't need anything else. Like you wake me up in the middle of the night, I can do that.
I
So
love that
what
test.
is
Wake me up in the middle of the night. What can I do? Like what am I really great at? That's so good. Keep going.
Yeah, and find people who have that problem that you
Mm.
can actually help and deliver. And it sounds really easy on paper, but it starts with researching, doing the market research, and more importantly, not letting your imposter syndrome to say, hey, like, let's just lower my prices and I'm gonna just aim for people who are strugglers, who are not as successful, and who might be afford my services. This is when we get stuck because people want our services, they can afford our services. So sell premium offer to premium buyer at the get go, and then do your market research. See how you can deliver. See what is deliverable, what is not deliverable, and the more data you get, the more successful you will be.
Yeah, that's so good. For years, I teach it as I call it the problem of appropriate magnitude, and it's like there's criteria for the problem that you solve as a coach. I think sometimes where you do that exercise of like I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm really good at, and then you fill in the blank about what you're good at, and then you're running around looking for that problem. That problem needs to be big enough that they probably are already spending money on it somehow. Maybe they've worked with another coach previously. Maybe they've enrolled in courses and they just weren't able to necessarily cross the threshold. But I love that. Like, go find people that would actually pay. That's so super important. And, I think there's a big myth around info products and kind of the self education space that the less you charge, the less good it actually has to be. I actually find that to be opposite land, right? Like if I want to build in volume, I need to have very thoughtful, strategic messaging. There needs to be because the way people buy the lower ticket stuff, it's I think a lot less flexible than when you're talking to a premium client. And I know like that was so opposite to what I thought. And I think a lot of people think is if it's a lower price tag, then it's going to be easier to sell. Not necessarily. You need like different skills. And when you're looking at whether it's a problem of appropriate magnitude, in that case, it's like, well, do a lot of people agree that that's a problem that they want to solve? So I love that. What would you say is the number one set of mistakes that you see people making when it comes to being successful in launching their business or sustaining it?
Well, I think one mistake that I see, and it depends on the what stage, right? Sometimes we gain success in our business because here's a like weird phenomena of anything new. When there's anything new, you will gain, I'm not gonna like not necessarily instant success, but you will gain the momentum at some point. Normally, it's happening faster, and then you have this sense of invincibility. Like, well, if I can sell that, let me just sell something else, or let me just add like other 3, 4 offers, because the more offers I have, the more money I'm going to make. And I would argue repeat what was good. Repeat what was good until it is either not good or until you solved a problem that will create a larger problem for your clients, and then elevate another offer on the back end, not necessarily in the front end. So, and this is how you create ascension model in your business. But a lot of business owners, what they do are like, okay, I will advertise my VIP, and then I will advertise this, and then I will advertise like career coaching, and then grief counseling, and then like focus on one thing. Until you are at $1 million bucks in your business, you have no business of creating an offer suite. Don't do it. Grow, standardize, optimize, and then maybe think about the offer suite.
So I want to unpack something here because you said something that I've also experienced and believe, but I can see how somebody listening to it might be the first time that they're actually hearing this idea. So you said, I'm paraphrasing, essentially make sure that the offer that you are fulfilling now is creating a problem for the next level offer so that it's a true ascension ladder. And I know the first time I heard that, I was like, wait, no, I'm supposed to be solving problems. So, can you unpack for us a little bit? Like, what do you really mean by that? If the reason they're in your program is to solve a problem, why would we build a program that creates a problem?
Because it is an evolution. So if you read a book, A Gap in the Gain, we will never be in the gain 100%, because as soon as we like gain our goal, For example, my client, right, we started working together and his goal was like, I want to be sold out. Like, that's my goal. This is my goal. This is my number. I want to be sold out. I'm like, well, like, your goal is could be better, but like, fine. You want to be sold out. You want to be sold out. And he got sold out. But then we created another problem. He like, wait a minute. My business model may not be sustainable because if I want to hit a certain revenue, my calendar is going to run my business basically if I keep working like that. So how do I do that? So in the next level, probably like, well, how do you optimize it for your level of sophistication? Right, because again, it's not necessarily create a group, it's not necessarily create a course, it's not necessarily create like the common denominator how we like what one is for you. Is it charge ultra high ticket and work with just like five clients, or is it like keep it more so medium and create a group coaching program, group mentorship program? Or is it like a small coaching program, relatively affordable price, like below $5,000 tech consulting? When it is for you, how do you create spaciousness? So, and again, for your client, it can be different. Like your career coach, let's say you help people to get a job. They get a job, so what is the next level? Is it like, do they want to go into leadership? Do they want to I don't know, manage up, manage down? Do they want to build something on their own? So it can be what, and that problem actually will come from your client after you're done with your client. Ask, okay, what do you want? What is next for you? And
That's
they will
exactly
tell
it.
you.
I love that little turn of phrase, the new level, new devil.
Yeah.
I remember when I very first started my coaching business, I was like, when I get to six figures and I get those first private clients, then okay, look, lots of coaches in this community. When you start engaging when then thinking, you should have sirens going off, right? Like that's when then, oh my gosh. Like, so I thought when I have this full practice, then I'm going to have made it. Well, fast forward about 18 months into my business, I did it. I got, full practice. I was carrying 16 premium clients at one time. And my business almost folded because I was, again, like kind of trading that time for money. The calendar was ruling the day, but I'd filled up so much, I really had no time for developing and building any new relationships. So I couldn't grow from where I was. And I was so overextended all the time. I tried to hire help to help me, but I just didn't have anything standardized to make the help helpful. Like it was just a big old mess. And I mean, it taught me some really, really valuable things. But I think sometimes we get into this thinking like, when I arrive there, then I'm gonna, and it's like whatever level you get to, there's gonna be new challenges that, frankly, you can't see it when you're standing. You don't get to see what the new challenge is going to be until you like hit that top plateau and you're like, oh, I see. There's all these other things that I need to consider as well. And that's the game of business. Like
Yeah.
it keeps on going like that.
Yeah, like no, like that's absolutely true. And also like what is your definition of success, right?
That
Because there's
part.
so many business owners like, okay, I am at seven figures right now, but my business doesn't feel fun anymore. And this is what like 2024 has been so interesting because there are so many entrepreneurs that I respect and love, including my coach, including my mentor, was thinking about or like actually did descaling because like you know what? Running multi seven figure business, this is not my definition of success. I still want to be at that high profit margin, but do I really want to work that hard? Do I really want to put that
I
level
think
of effort?
you're
Do I
I
want to
think you're
hand it to?
right. Like I've observed the same thing in this space and I even experienced the same thing. Like there's this contraction that seems to be largely going on where people are pulling back. And I think part of that, my hypothesis, I don't know, we'll see, but my hypothesis is there's a lot of different factors at play that are kind of contributing to this overall sense of like, wait, I want to have like a steadier growth and I want to do that from a strong foundation. And I think that like the number one reason why is probably because the industry itself is maturing. more people have been competitive and successful in the space. So there's more, I think, standardization of approach. There's more, with all of those different kinds of things. I think there was this wild west of explosion of the coaching industry that now we're seeing a bit of a correction for, right? Where the audience isn't unlimited and you don't have unlimited team members that you can cycle through, and all of these kinds of things that people tried, it ended up kind of blowing up in their face in some instances. And I think everybody kind of, it's a small enough industry, we can see each other and like what's going on, and then we're like, wait, okay, I don't want to suffer that same fate, or I don't want to repeat those same mistakes. I think I'd much rather build from a much firmer foundation and sacrifice a little bit of that speed of growth in favor of having a more deliberate growth.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right because it's like also like what is important for you. And also another thing, does your growth sacrifices your client delivery? Because we all been in a
That was a
program where
big issue. Yeah.
we love out like I've been in coaching programs that like I respect those entrepreneurs. I'm not saying that like she's a scammer, like she's a terrible coach. Like
Yeah, some
no,
people
like
put
I
it pretty
respect
extreme.
all of them. But like not enough operational capacity, not enough standardization, not enough prioritization. And like, yeah, she's going like crazy, but like at what expense? And then the word is going around and like, oh, like you've been in that coaching program. Like, yeah, me too. And like and people start rolling eyes and things like that.
Exactly. I think the cool thing about everybody coming online and getting so connected is that there's more opportunity than ever to be able to build a good reputation. But the thing about a reputation is that, it doesn't take much to take it down. So if you are building something that isn't necessarily honoring, we always try to over deliver on our promises because we know how. I think it was Warren Buffett that said that a reputation takes 25 years to build and seconds to destroy. So we've always kind of erred on the side of over delivery to our maximum ability. But I think the game of entrepreneurship, it's changing, and I think it's changing for the better. I think people are being held more accountable to having better products, and you don't, I think it's still like, even with that accountability, don't feel like you can't play the game, dear listener, because it's still an incredibly low barrier to entry market. I think that there's still like a lot of people that just phone it in and they don't show up with a level of consistency to be able to build the trust. And so if you are someone who shows up on time, and you are someone who follows through, and you are someone who can build routine, you're already at such a very significant competitive advantage. So, Eugene, where to next? What's your biggest project that you're working on right now?
So my biggest project, so it's interesting that we were talking about scaling and descaling, right? Like my next biggest project is actually fulfilling more premium level like one-on-one coaching and
Nice.
working with people one-on-one at like more so limited capacity because I built my career coaching program like really really fast, right? And I built my group coaching program really, really fast. But this time around, I really would like to actually document the process. And like, because right now, I know the process, but also I really want to know what are the must-have components of the program if I were to have a mastermind or not. And also, like, do I need like again, like it's a bit like it's your intention. Like, do you want to work with a group or do you want to work just like at the higher like price ticket? Like 5 people and you make your revenue like for the year, or 10 people and you make your revenue for the year and you don't bother with fulfillment. So this is the big step, more so like standardizing and removing unnecessary components. For example, I remove my what I call Netflix and chill for entrepreneurs, the course component for my coaching, because with I work with consultants who already have a business and like, Eugene, I'm not gonna go live like just like you do because this is not aligned with my business. I do have a podcast, but like this, like or creating a group program with my consulting clients, like this is literally insanity. This is not for me. And I have another client who like, oh my gosh, yes, live. And this is how I book my speaking engagement. This is how I promote my conference that I'm building. So and it's really like determining what is that critical component. And instead of like just shove one course, like one Netflix and chill, like I don't know, like 9, 10 modules for everyone. Like you need to get better at sales. So go and really model how we did sales. This is the lesson for you. You need to really identify your IQC, ideal qualified customer. This is the video how you do that. And so the next week you better have a little bit more clarity and like really more concise picture for your for your problem versus just overwhelm everybody with a ton of videos with a ton of past coaching calls and people just get distracted and not getting the work done.
Totally. Yeah, I think like penetrating overwhelm is a huge thing that a lot of coaches could really capitalize on, really focus on. That's such a great strategy. So, Eugene, what is the best way for people to follow you?
Yes, so you can follow me on LinkedIn. I have a wonderful LinkedIn community, Eugene Berezin. You can find me on Instagram as well, Eugene dot Berezin, and you can also follow me on YouTube at Eugene dot Berezin, and tune into my podcast, Heart and Profit Podcast on Apple, iTunes, Spotify. So and feel free to send me an DM. Feel free to start a conversation. I would like to hear what resonated with you specifically from this episode, and like, what's your takeaway? What are you implementing next in your business for what you heard today?
I love it. I love it. And dear listener, we'll make sure to have all those links for you in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe to the Amanda Kaufman Show. You don't want to miss another episode, another interview, or another one of my solo episodes. And go ahead and leave a 5-star review. It'll help others to make the choice to listen in on this episode. And you can also just directly share this with 3 of your friends. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you in a future episode. See you soon.
Thank you. See you soon.